Okay, here we have 4 Cushman spark plugs. This is a Champion RF14YC, current version of the F14. This is an Autolite number 46. This is an NGK WR5, and this is a Champion RF11YC. So this is an F11, this is an F14. This is supposed to be a hotter plug than this, but they look very much the same. And these two look a bit hotter. If you go through the spark plug equivalent charts, these are all supposed to be equivalent plugs, but it sure looks like these two are hotter plugs, which may not be a bad thing. This is the one that came out of my engine, which was fouled up with rust and crud in the fuel, so probably was running very rich. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, there's some commonly available spark plugs from Napa that will fit, and these were all $2.50 a piece. The NGK and the Autolite appear to possibly have stainless bodies. The Champion is a galvanized body, and a little poorer cut threads than the other two. We'll see how it works out. In other news, I was working on the Cushman tank, and it had rust and crud in it, and I cleaned it out to get the crud out, and then put evaporust in to remove the rust. And after 24 hours, even with the liquid heated, there was still crud in there. I looked in there closely and found that the inside of the tank had been painted. I don't know how it got paint in there. Maybe it was that way from the factory. But anyway, you can't remove the rust when there's paint in there. So the float bowl here, this little separator, had about a tablespoon of crud in it. And it was the paint flakes. So it's going to be a big dog and pony show. I've got to use paint stripper to remove all the paint from the inside of the tank. Then I guess I'll go after it with phosphoric acid and sharp gravel and do it that way. Maybe go back to evaporust. I'm not sure which. One or the other. Neutralize it, clean it, and then coat it. But that's going to be a long-term project. So I've got an old small engine shop where I take my high weed mower and chainsaws and stuff for get parts, and I said I need a gas tank. And you know, a new Briggs & Stat tank's about 80 bucks, but they had this lovely new old stock tank sitting on the shelf, and it was Christmas, and he gave it to me for 20 bucks, brand new, beautiful little thing, half-gallon tank. And said I need a petcock. He pulled this Australian-made plastic petcock off the shelf, $7 item. Stuck it in there, a little Teflon tape. So I've got a temporary fuel source for the Cushman, and then later I've got a nice safe fuel supply to work on engines on my workbench. So that's kind of what happened. Last Tuesday, I disconnected the fuel line and filter and just pulled the jets out of the needles out of the carburetor. Blew carb cleaner through there, put the needles back in, set the roughs. Oh, and then I put fed raw gas in with a squeeze bottle into the fuel line, flushed the carburetor some more, put the jets back in, set them the rough setting, and things started right up. So very good news all the way around on that. So when it quits raining, which will be tomorrow, I guess, and I'm a little more with it, we'll put the temporary fuel tank on there with a gallon of gas and start it up, and after it's run a bit and we've got the carburetor adjusted better than it is now, we'll drive it around the driveway loop a few times.